Greetings and salutations and welcome once again to the Capeless Crusaders live at the time from the safe house. My name is David Barry at Dr. Barry on varying social media platforms. As you can tell, the faces are different. There are faces in places, but not the same faces. Anyway, I'm joined this evening by my lovely wife. Introduce yourself.
Oh, hi. Kaitlin Barry, just hanging out. Kate Barry, if you really want to find me on varying social medias. I don't have a platform thingy.
I was busy making a new plaque today for Son of Mander, for Manderson's new Twitter handle. He's in the chat room.
Ooh, Twitter handle.
But then circumstances changed and he's not here. We are not joined this evening. Let's see if I can list everybody. We're not joined by Son of Mander, aka Manderson. We're not joined by Amy, I Jane, you robot. We are not joined by Estiz, the Azorian one. We're not joined by Tom at Tall Dark Not Ugly on Everything. We're not joined by Curtis at Calm Down Warning, at Accidental Romeo, at Black Dragon FC, I believe is his new Twitter thing. Anyway, it is the day after a convention. And because it is the day after a convention, we are tired. Stuff comes up, so we have a slightly smaller podcast staff than we normally do. Yes, I said staff. And if a baby wakes up, then we might be even smaller, shorter staffed. We also have dogs in here this on this week's episode. So
but
that's
they're
always
sleeping, so they're fine.
But they're adorable, and they might get on camera at some point. Anyway, of course, the Capeless Crusaders are brought to you in part by Computer Booter, your local computer repair, retro game shop, video game lounge, where they have, you gotta figure out where it is, where they are still, they got the PlayStation VR. It is there for you to try it if you want to. So, on this week's episode, of course, we are going to go around the horn. We're going to talk about some comic books, aka I'm going to talk about some comic books. Maybe people in the chat room will have some round the horns. We're also going to go over some news, a little bit of information about Wrestlemania last night, because there is a WWE comic, so it counts. And then we're going to talk about Silicon Valley Comic-Con, which is where we were this past weekend, with press passes, schmoozing, rubbing elbows, not hanging out with Stan Lee, never even saw his face, which was, but anyway. If you want to find anything related to the Capeless Crusaders, you can find it at thecapelesscrusaders.com. That is your hub. We just posted a blog entry up there from Son of Mander about our most recent Dungeons and Dragons campaign. You can find links to all of our social medias, our Patreon. If you want to support us, you can give us a little bit of money every month. That would be nice. If you're on here and you would like to sub to us, if you're on Twitch, the sub button is up above me somewhere, as is the follow button. If you are watching this on YouTube, it is down below. You can like, subscribe, and comment. And then if you're on audio, again, just, carry on driving and wasting an hour on your way to work. So, when we are in the safe house, as we are right now, don't ignore this. You don't need to know what else is in the safe house. We are surrounded by comic books. When we go to Comic Cons, we like to do a little something called Round the Horn.
Took everything not to do that.
I appreciate.
Sorry.
That's why I married you, because you wouldn't do it. When we go around the horn, we go around the table in a circular fashion, except for the fact that we no longer have a circular table. We have actually probably never really for sure had a circular table. 4 years ago, last week, we did start this podcast, and it was a rectangular table with shoeboxes on it. And we go around the horn, we talk about what comic books we've been reading this week. We're not going to go around because I don't require my wife to read comic books for the podcast like I require the rest of them. But I don't require them to be here either, apparently. But I read a lot.
Well, always.
I always do. And of course, Round the Horn is brought to you in part by Empire's Comics Vault, our local comic book haven. That's where we get all of our books from, for the most part.
To be fair, I feel as though I read comics every month or week or day because he shares them with me.
That's what I do.
Day.
So she read all of these.
Yeah, basically.
In a way.
Sure.
Empire's Comics Vault. Go down there, hang out with Ben, go for the comics, stay for the pugs, and the hot sauce. He has hot sauce now.
Ooh.
Yeah, we got some Round the Horns already getting shouted out in the chat room. By the way, welcome chat room if you are in here. Thanks for hanging out. So I read lots of things. First, I'm not going to go over all of them. I'm just going to kind of run down them very quickly. I reread all 15 issues of Monstrous. By reread, I actually only reread 3 of them because that's where I'd stopped, and then I read the rest. Monstrous is an A+ book in every way, shape, or form. The storytelling, the emotions they deliver, the artwork, everything about Monstrous is A+. You need to do it. Speaking of A+, I also read 7 to Eternity. I read all 9 issues of 7 to Eternity. Again, A+ artwork, A+ storytelling, unique storytelling, really good thing to hop on. If you're looking for something a little lighter, they're both emotionally heavy and dark stories. If you're looking for something a little lighter, Runaways. I did catch up on all 8 or 9 issues of Runaways from Marvel. Still a little kind of dark, but it is not what the show is based on. The show is based on the original run by Brian K. Vaughan. This takes place after that run, so they're all a little bit older. So it's a lot of fun. Christopher Anka is the artist, and he's always fantastic. The other thing I read was I caught up and I read all 12 issues of Black Bolt, which just ended. Saladin Ahmed and CJ Ward did an awesome job with a very intergalactic, solar, whatever, what do you want to call it, artwork. And an extremely emotional story that follows Black Bolt basically being sent to a prison in his brother's place, where he actually loses his ability to shout and destroy people with his voice, so he has to get out of it without that, and once he gets it back, he has to then learn how to convey emotion again without it. Because, by the way, Medusa's gone, and she usually reads his mind and conveys his emotion. Really good. You should check it out. The other thing I finally read was Batman Year One. I actually burned through that trade in about an hour.
Wait, you haven't read that one before?
I never read Batman Year One.
I swear I've heard you talk about it.
No, I've talked about it. I've never actually read it, though. Okay. I picked it up recently. Fair. I needed to make a certain amount on Amazon for me to get a free shipping. So I was like, comic book. So I got Batman Year One, which is the basis for Batman Begins. It's an awesome story that basically tells the year when Bruce Wayne comes back from his travels and becomes the Batman, and follows Commissioner Gordon, which... Quick aside, I feel like the movies did not do justice to the fact that Jim Gordon had a military background and was an awesome, hand-to-hand fighter. They did not do that in the movies. They just made him like a cop. He was a good cop. But in the book, he's got kind of a shady background because we don't know why he's transferred to Gotham, but he's also like a badass.
In the movies, I don't remember him having a big enough role where that would even have come up, though.
I mean, it could have, because he did help crack down on the department, and that's really what it was. Is okay. Like they could have they didn't have to add this, but in the comic he at one point gets jumped by a bunch of masked men, and they tell him like, watch your back, like we'll see you at work tomorrow, because there's a bunch of other crooked detectives.
Okay.
And so what he does is he then gets his revenge by tracking down the lead detective who did that when he's wasted, and then he beats the crap out of him. And that guy's so proud, he's not going to say that. He's going to say he got mugged by like 12 guys. Yeah. So he basically kind of carves his way in. And in the movies, he still kind of did that. He had a bunch of former crooked cops on his side, and they didn't really focus on that, but I feel like they could have added to that. Unrelated, however. So that is about does it for Around the Horn, because...
Wait, Manderson read Birthright.
Birthright, yes. So Birthright
Speak on behalf.
is... it is on issue 30, I believe. Okay. I am about 7 issues behind. It came out of nowhere. I guess I dropped it a couple months before the baby was born, and then I need to pick that one back up, because that is a fantastic story as well. Again, with A+ artwork, A+ storytelling. Thank you, Son of Mander, for being in there. God, there's cats in here. In other news, speaking of news, we might have a new news monkey, but apparently he is a news orangutan, which...
All right.
Whatever. I don't know. Here's the sound. I don't know why we're getting a news orangutan. I don't know. I still also don't understand why we have a news monkey. Regardless, only a couple pieces of news this week because I wasn't paying attention to any of it. First off, in a couple of months, Image Comics is going to be showing appreciation for the unsung heroes of the comic book industry, which is the colorists.
Oh, yeah.
If I told you, like, name a famous colorist.
No.
If I told you to name a famous writer.
I mean, Stan Lee, Jack Kirby.
Boom. Jack Kirby was a writer.
Yes,
as well as
he was,
artist.
And I learned that from the AMC
Cedar
stuff.
Comics.
Yeah, but he,
And if I told you to name a famous artist, Jack Kirby.
Well, yeah.
Anyone can name writers and artists, but no one can name colorists or letterers. And I'm going to be 100% honest, those people are extremely important, because if without them, you just have black and white pictures on a piece of paper and text in a script because no one has put it on the paper. So colorists are an extremely important. Brad Anderson, thank you, son of a man. He's really excited. Brad Anderson, he is a colorist from Marmaduke.
Oh, okay.
And but he also does comic books. And of course, Manderson loves him because I believe Manderson, your dad's name is Brad. Is that what it is? Regardless. So colorists are extremely important because if you ever look at like a landscape on a comic book, you're like, wow, look at the color. The color is so lush. The artist didn't do that. The artist drew it, maybe inked it with black and white. Some artists are also colorists, however. So there's some who do both. For the most part, though, it's usually, I've drawn this, I'm going to pass along to the colorist, and the colorist is really going to bring it to life. They're going to add the shadows. They're going to fill in. They're going to give the different colors.
Just saying.
I forgot what she was doing to my feet. So Image Comics is showing their appreciation for colorists by doing something that I personally love because I love Spawn. I love Todd McFarlane. And Todd McFarlane is drawing the cover for Spawn issue 286. Now, the standard cover will be black and white. It will just be his artwork. There will then be B, C, D. There will be at least six, maybe 7 variant covers. They will all take the same black and white image. They will give it to 7 or 8 or 6 or 7 or 8 different colorists, and each one will give their interpretation of how they want it to look. Dark backgrounds, light backgrounds, solid white on his armor, glowing green on his armor, which is a Spawn kind of a thing too. So it's going to take and basically show you how different the same piece can look when the colorists have it in their hands. They can do so much.
So, question about colorists.
Yes.
Do colorists normally like have full range and control of that, or is that something like the artist kind of says like, this is the vibe I'm going for? Because we watched that AMC Comics documentary series, which was so cool, and it seemed like the writer normally gave the words, and the artist was like almost in complete control of like what they were drawing. So does the colorist kind of the same way? Like, do they take the words and the images, and then from there they pick the color, or does the comic book artist kind of say, oh, I want it to have this sort of a look or feel? Or
so it varies.
Okay.
It honestly, it can vary team to team. For example, you have someone like Jonathan Hickman who will literally draw, write, color, ink, and letter his own book. So he has complete creative control.
Yeah.
So if he has something in his mind, he can get it on paper. The same way certain writers will give a script to an artist. They can say, this is the way I want this panel to look. Now, the artist can obviously reinterpret that. But if they do too much different and the writer doesn't like it, depending on the writer, like if this was a Stan Lee, Jack Kirby kind of a thing, they had great chemistry. But if it was maybe Stan Lee and some new guy, and the new guy, took some, the one I'm looking for.
Leeway?
Yeah, it's a little bit of leeway. Stan Lee might be like, all right, man, cool. Give me the artwork I asked for.
Got it. So
colorists are kind of the same way. Like if you have a well-respected artist and a well-respected colorist, they might not even need to really communicate, and they can get what they need to do done. If you have a newer colorist, they might be like, okay, well, I want this to be blue. I want this to be green. And then they can kind of...
Isn't all like the colorist stuff done on like computers and stuff now too? Because I know it used to be like inked. So they don't ink them anymore, right?
Some still do.
Oh, rarely. I didn't know that. I thought for some reason they didn't.
So a lot of them they will do like the black ink.
Okay.
They'll ink that in, get rid of the pencil marks, and they'll scan it in to be digitally colored.
Okay.
There aren't a lot of artists now who do actual paint and actual... It is
Does it
mainly
change
digital.
the look of it? I mean, I assume it
100%.
has to. Like,
100%.
is there one, like... Is it, like, cooler when it's, like, still inked? Or is it just kind of like, eh?
So... With the way, with like the type of paper that books are printed on now, you don't see as much of a difference.
Okay.
Because it's all that glossy stock, and when you see it digitally, like on an iPad or on a computer, it also kind of doesn't really have that. Can't really tell the difference. Okay. And that being said, if you have someone like Witches, which is the horror book written by Scott Snyder, if you follow along after the story ends each week, his artist would actually explain the way. He wouldn't just pencil and ink and then color it. What he would actually do is he would get a piece of paper and he'd splash with watercolor, and then he'd scan it in and basically create a filter in Photoshop and like turn down or turn up the never pronounce
opaque.
Yeah, the opaqueness, opacity.
No.
I don't know. It's spelled Opacity. It's one of those words I never hear anyone say it, but I always see it written. Anyway, so he would adjust that and then basically lay it over the top so that he has all this artwork, but then it has like these weird, like creepy splotches.
Interesting.
So while it's digital, it has that watercolor
like
feel to it. Yeah.
Okay.
So it depends. It varies artist to artist, really.
Interesting.
For the most part, most people have moved into Photoshop or something like that for their coloring. But with that, with like a Wacom tablet and like those like a lot of technology now can mimic paintbrushes and pencils so well.
That's true.
You almost wouldn't know.
That way.
Yeah, there are some artists who will literally like they'll click and they'll select an area and they'll just dump color in and they'll add shading to it. But if you watch a video of Todd McFarlane sketching, like it's all on a Wacom tablet, but you would never know. Like the way he does his cross hatching and stuff, because he was still back when they were penciling and inking all 100% real. He came from that and he brought that over. So he it looks like it's pencils and inks, but it's all digital. So yeah, that's a wonderful question.
The more you know.
The more you know. So I will be getting all of the variants. And I really hope that Image keeps going with other comics and basically being like getting the standard artist to draw black and white and then giving it to a bunch of colors.
Right now, Todd McFarlane Spawn is the only one doing it.
Spawn is the only one, they've announced.
Okay. I was gonna say, so it's not an Image movie; it's like a Todd McFarlane.
It's a Todd. I mean, it's one of like the 7 kingdoms of Image, so it is an Image move. Still. And Image is saying they're calling almost kind of like a movement, like like basically like we appreciate our artists, like we appreciate our colorists.
Are you hashtagging right now?
They did. It was a hashtag. I can't remember what the full hashtag was. So it seems like it's something that they would probably want to do. Because they always do that. Like with like the 25th anniversary of Image, they recreate a bunch of classic covers across the board.
But that's what I was asking, since it's only Todd McFarlane.
They've only announced one.
Okay.
But I think they're going to do it with more. It just seems like a really good idea.
It does. It seems cool. You showed me the variant covers. They were really cool. And it looks like completely different, like
a green
books
sky,
and stories and
orange sky, blue sky.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
And of course, I love Spawn, so gotta have all of them. So, in other news, prepare yourself for this one. This is a weird one. It is now rumored that Woody Harrelson, will be playing Carnage in the Venom movie. Okay? So for those of you who don't know who Carnage is, you should. A little comic book and video game in the 90s that a lot of us had called Maximum Carnage, when the character really got his breakout. So the idea is that the Venom symbiote is an alien creature, globiness, that attaches to Peter Parker. Peter Parker then, through their symbiotic connection, basically Venom takes on the form of the web slingers and the spider logo. It basically becomes a spider suit. When it eventually leaves him, it takes over Eddie Brock. Eddie Brock is angry, bitter man, and they become Venom. And they become this awesome supervillain that is being played by Tom Hardy in the Venom movie.
Have we seen a Carnage in a movie before?
We've never seen Carnage.
Okay, because that's what I was gonna say. That's kind of my end.
We've only seen Venom, and it was terrible. It was Eric Foreman. Yeah, it was Eric Foreman. It was awful.
Yeah. Okay.
The CG was okay. Like once, like he put the suit on and he became like Venom, like he looked fine, but everything else about it was terrible. Everything else about that movie was terrible.
I mean, speaking of the new one, I think Woody Harrelson's a good actor. I could.
So that's the thing.
See him doing
Woody
justice
Harrelson.
to it, right?
Woody Harrelson's one of those people. He's kind of a character actor.
Yeah, for sure.
Where you can just associate him with just these like iconic roles where he just melts into the character.
All that's coming to mind is Haymitch, but I don't know. So much.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Haymitch in the Hunger Games, Zombieland. Like he was great in Zombieland. He's done all kinds of stuff. He was a wonderful.
Zombieland actually might be a better reference.
He was wonderful on Cheers. Anyway, so again, for those of you who don't know, after Venom went to prison, a piece of the Venom symbiote broke off. It basically spawned another symbiote, and it bonded with Woody Harrelson's character, who I'm blanking on his name all of a sudden. Cletus Cassidy. Why am I? This is hard. I hate when this happens. Anyway, he is a psychopathic murderer. He's not a psychopathic murderer. That'd be weird. He's a murderer. And so the symbiote basically becomes a new symbiote with a black and red outfit. It is awesome, and it becomes Carnage. And Carnage is just a masochistic beast of a monster that Venom and Spider-Man then have to team up in order to take down. In the Maximum Carnage comic, people are wondering if that's what the Venom movie is going to entail, because it is showing Eddie Brock in San Francisco, which the whole thing was that Punisher. Oh, Venom moves to San Francisco, and Spider-Man joins forces with him to fight these murders and things that are happening. And Words are hard.
Hard words.
Because there's a long weekend. A lot of things happened this weekend, including something yesterday. It's kind of a big thing. And that was the showcase of the Immortals. Yes, Wrestlemania was this weekend. And it is relevant because there is a WWE comic.
Unless, like, Nikki Bella and John Cena announced a baby, I'm kind of like, again.
Brie Bella was in the audience.
Really? I thought she was home because she posted a picture with said baby watching said dad in the thing. I like Nikki and Brie Bella. Someone else posted it.
Daniel Bryan kissed someone in the crowd. So
no, it must have been her. She must have posted that from someone else. I don't know. I did see her wearing the Yes shirt.
Yes. Regardless. So, WrestleMania. Quick review. I give it a 6 out of 10. Right out the gate.
That's actually higher than I thought you were going to give it based on what you said earlier.
I mean, it was 7 hours. Yeah. Dragged on. The booking was strange. The matches were decent. The booking was strange, and that's really what it comes down to.
Okay.
You can have two wrestlers and put them in a ring, and they can have chemistry, and they can have a good match. But if the story doesn't make any sense, you can lose me. You put two guys up against each other for no other reason than these two guys want to fight each other. Like it's not good. As opposed to if you build this long story between two people, it can just give you such a better experience once they tell that story.
Like that build up.
Exactly. In the ring. So it had its moments. Ronda Rousey making her WWE debut, fighting in a WrestleMania in a WWE ring against with Kurt Angle against Stephanie McMahon and Triple H was actually a show stealer for me. Kurt Angle still can go. He's not as fast as he used to be. The man never gave up wrestling. He left WWE, kept wrestling. He's an older guy. Still got it though. Triple H looks like $1 million. Stephanie McMahon, always been awesome. Ronda Rousey, kind of worried.
Has her acting gotten better?
Her acting...
Because it was bad when I watched her, I watched her announce live that she's coming back, with that whole show thing, and it was actually kind of painful to watch.
So her acting in ring, where she wasn't talking on a microphone, was good.
Okay.
Because you have to act concerned. You have to act concerned for your friend. You have to act outraged that they're taking advantage of the rules. You have to act hurt. You have to act like you're ready for it. Like that, she had. The facial expressions and the shouts and stuff, great.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm surprised. Just because even watching her at the Royal Rumble and watching her even walk out, it was kind of
it was awkward.
Painful.
It was awkward and painful. So she looked great. Her moves were much cleaner. That was the other thing, is her moves weren't exactly clean when she first started. Which, I mean, you're used to actually hurting people, and now you have to not hurt people, but make it look like you're hurting people. Going from MMA into professional wrestling, there's not a lot of people who do it successfully.
Sure.
Either you weren't that good of an MMA fighter, or you have a steep learning curve. Ronda Rousey, Ken Shamrock. Only two people to really successfully transfer over. Brock Lesnar was a pro wrestler first, then went to UFC, then back. So he already had that background. Shinsuke Nakamura, he was also an MMA fighter in Japan, but a professional wrestler at the same time. So it's kind of like they have that experience with them. So overall, 6 out of 10. Ronda Rousey actually kind of stole the show for me. Nakamura versus AJ Styles for the title. I'm skipping around because most of the matches were kind of blah. The tag team matches, they were fine. They weren't great, and the stories didn't matter. The title match was a dream match because we saw AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Last time we saw that was in New Japan Pro Wrestling. It was amazing, but then it was the end of a story. It was a culmination of a story. It was a big blow. This one, it's the beginning of a story. You can even feel like the match didn't go as long as we thought it was going to, and it does end with Nakamura losing, seems like gracefully, giving the belt to AJ, and then hitting him with the low blow, uppercut to the crotch, and that then has now set up Nakamura being the bad guy going after AJ's title. The Universal title match. No one cares. I hate Brock Lesnar. I hate Roman Reigns. Anyway.
Hey, I know one thing. Nia Jax won.
Nia Jax did win.
Yeah.
That actually was a pretty fun match because Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax have the huge size difference. They managed to play that fun, like, she was small, but she was scrappy. She'd kick you in the legs and try to take you down, but then Nia Jax would just pummel her. Like I said, tag title matches, kind of lame. Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens.
Oh, yeah, wait. So Daniel Bryan's return match wasn't even good?
He was fine. They did the classic. They got jumped. They kicked him out. Like, he was out. He was getting attended to, so he was gone for a really long period of time. So, like, half the match was just Shane McMahon getting beat up. And then he comes out of nowhere, and he's not really hurt, but he is really hurt. And he comes back and wins it all. And you get to see all of his classic moves. But I think Steve's and I were even kind of talking about this, that they felt like they didn't want him to go 100%. Because they were probably still a little worried. They didn't want any suicide dives from him, because that's how he got his multiple concussions. We got to see his patented moves. We got the yes lock. We got the running knee. We got the yes kicks. The yes movement was still alive and well. Daniel Bryan looked great. Otherwise, the match was kind of weird. The stipulation was strange. It sounds like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens may have debuted on Raw tonight because they were fired from SmackDown. I mean,
I really only know people from Total Divas. So, I mean, when you say names, I'm like, yeah, that person.
Naomi won the Women's Royal Rumble.
I do like Naomi. She's pretty great.
Yeah, that's about it. No, Manderson, no one likes Brock. I mean, some people do. I don't know. I'm sick of him.
I just like the divas.
This weekend, when we got home, we got to watch WrestleMania. But where did we get home from, you say? You ask? Proud? Everyone asking. We were in San Jose, California.
He was, I wasn't.
For Silicon Valley Comic-Con. Now, the question is it silicon? I know people say, because like silica, they say Silicon Valley.
I've never heard that before.
Anyway, Silicon Valley Comic-Con is put together by none other than the great and powerful Woz.
See, I think the real question is, did you meet David Tennant?
Okay, these people don't even know that David Tennant was there.
Yes, they do. Everyone knows David Tennant was there.
Anyway, well, can I say what the con is?
No, because that's the real question.
I didn't
that's just
meet
all
David
I need to
Tennant.
know.
I would have told you that.
Leave my house.
This is my house too.
You had every chance.
No, I didn't. I had no chances.
You were in the same place.
I'm sorry, did you give me a budget of $120 to meet him? No? Exactly. Anyway, Silicon Valley Comic-Con is organized by Steve Wozniak. Yes, you would know him as one of the original founders of Apple Computers. Now, the Woz, big fan of both pop culture and technology. He combines the two into a convention where we have television, movie, writers, comic books, comic book artists, and a lot of actual scientists. Like, we have legitimate... Stop rubbing the cats, man. Oh, good. Who joke? Good. Yeah, appreciate that, Steve's. What was I saying? What else does it have? And also, science. We actually had, we had like world-renowned astrophysicists. We had representatives from NASA there. We had the first African-American woman in space. She was there. That's cool. Yeah, there was tons and tons to see. So it took place at the San Jose Convention Center. It was a 3-day event. We were there as press. No, nothing to sneeze at. So it was myself, Amy, and Manderson. We had a great time. We had a lot of fun. We had fun with science.
Well, so when they said technology, because I was talking to someone about this, what they meant was like TV. That was the technology side, or was it like there was like
there were engineers. There were
like, do they have booths like how like celebrities have booths, and you had to like pay to talk to them?
There was only a couple of the science and technology side who had like photo ops and stuff, because only a couple of them are actually like recognizable.
Well, famous. That's what I was gonna say. Like who?
No, they had booths. Well, I'm gonna forget his name. I'm gonna Google him real fast. He's basically like the only astrophysicist I know like by name, besides Stephen Hawking.
Good job knowing him by name.
Well, I'm not saying I'm great with names. Please don't be loud. Please don't be loud.
So loud. See, right there in the very beginning, David Tennant, he was on the website. I can't believe you were in the same building and you didn't see him.
I did see him. I didn't meet him. You asked if I met him.
How close did you get to seeing him? Like you could see his face?
I could have spit on him. No, I couldn't have.
Oh.
No, I was just... where is he?
You didn't get to that panel.
I watched it on TV.
Okay, watching on
Thank
TV,
you.
being
Dr.
in the same room,
Dr.
doesn't mean the same
Michio
thing.
Kaku, one of the most recognized astrophysicists in the world. He was there. It was awesome. No, Sheldon Cooper was not there, you dingus.
That would have been cool. TV too.
So he was the only one that's like recognizable to have like a booth and get like autographs and stuff. But a lot of them still they didn't have like booths in like Celebrity Row, but they still had booths on the con floor.
Okay.
So you could
that's
go,
more what I was asking.
yeah, you could go and like you could meet and like you could learn. There was guys, like I said, guys from NASA, women from NASA, like talking about space exploration.
Cool.
They were engineers. They were like, there's this company that does like motorized, like handheld remote, like motorized longboards, and they had like demonstrations, like
That's what I was
that.
gonna ask. So they have like activities, like
oh yeah,
to like, get kids involved.
There was a science fair. There was a whole big science fair
cool.
that kids could go to. We didn't go because we're not kids. It would have been weird, I think, if we'd walked in there. We looked at it. It looked really cool. Like it looked like there's a ton of fun activity.
Your press, you could have walked in
like,
there.
No,
and
no.
Been, we're pressing this out.
If Morgan, like when she's a little bit older, totally. Like it'd be awesome to take her. Pierce, Jackson, Thomas, Rory, all the children that we have. I'm blanking on Curtis's kids' names. We just have a lot of kids. So many kids. So the science side, always really cool. Unfortunately, a lot of the science stuff was like half of it was outside last year, and because of the chance of rain, they did not do anything outside. So it felt a little tighter inside than it was last year. There wasn't as much space to walk around. It could be because there were just more people in general, more booths and stuff, but also a lot of stuff had to be inside that was outside last time. So everything was limited to the one main building. Which, I mean, it's like 3 ballrooms and like all this stuff. Like it's not a small building at all in any sense of the word. So it's a super fun convention as always. Tons of vendors I was able to track down. Because if you know me, you know that... Is that a baby crying?
I think so.
You know
Keep
that...
up on with science.
Okay. You know that I am a Spawn collector. And I have almost every Spawn comic ever printed. Unfortunately, I have some gaps where they were basically they printed less of them, and it was difficult to track them down. So I did track down Spawn issue number 123, which is a big win for me. I got some random Swamp Thing comics. It was really good. The one thing I will say about a lot of the vendors is they were not like, some of them had some random boxes of back issues. A lot of them had like slabbed and graded, like CGC graded books. So for those of you who don't know, CGC, they're a group that basically will grade a comic book. They'll inspect it and they'll give you a grading out of 10, which can determine its value. They'll also seal it in a case so that it maintains that value and that grading until opened. The problem with that is, 1, you don't get to read the book ever again. 2, it kind of artificially inflates the price, and they kind of get to set what a book, like, and you might be able to get the book on the, out of a box, open for $20, but if it's slabbed, it's $300. It's kind of crappy. And a lot of vendors had a lot of those, which was really, to me, is really upsetting. Like, if you're literally all you have is slabbed comic books and you're at a convention as a vendor, I'm not going to want to go to you, because your cheapest book is going to be $40-$50. Like, they had long boxes full of them, they had racks full of them. It's like, okay, half and half. Like, give me some like just loose books to flip through. Like, let me find some random old gems and some fun old books. Like, seriously, you want me to just look at slabbed books? So that's something that was kind of upsetting to me. Like, just kind of, I mean, you're running a business, which I totally get, but it just wasn't, that's not what I want to see on my con floor. Other things we saw, there's tons of great cosplayers. Exactly, yeah, Manderson. That I agree. It's nice to see. It's nice to see those rare books, and I totally like. I love when the vendors have, like gold and silver age comics. But Vance wanted the dogs to come back. He's thanking you for bringing the dogs back.
No problem.
It's awesome to see like these stands that have gold and silver age comic books, but when that's all they have and they're slabbed, like to me that's lame. That's like it's not there's a a certain type of collector that wants that, and it's not the general public. Like, I like flipping through books and finding a comic that I could buy for $3.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, when you're trying to fill pieces of your collection, you don't want to buy a whole slab to hope that you get like one or two, especially because when you're buying the slab, I'm assuming you don't get to look through them first.
No. The slab is the CGC, where they're slabbed, they're sealed.
Oh,
yeah,
I misunderstood.
No, they're encased in those cases. So they had long boxes just full of those slabs.
Gotcha.
So they're all.
So you can go through, but they're just graded.
Oh yeah,
so
but you can't actually look at the book, which I'm obviously
yeah.
you know the grading because it's printed on there.
Yeah.
But they get to inflate the price. They get to be like, hey, this book is $50, where you could get it out of a box for $5, and you might be a collector that doesn't care that it's got some, wear on the edges, but you might really like having your books pre-slabbed. I guess I don't know. I'm not a fan of that. So, we had a lot of fun over the 2 days we were there. We were not there on Friday. Like I said, cosplayers, there were some intense cosplays. We've already posted some on our Instagram. You can find that at thecablecrusaders.com. It has a link to our Instagram page. We were posting them all there. I found one of the best Plastic Man costumes I have ever seen, which meant tights like all the way up here.
Just hanging out.
No, not hanging out. That was the thing. It was everything was
meant as a joke.
Tight.
Gotcha. Solid.
Because it's always cool to see like interpretations of characters. It's also cool to see people doing like really comic accurate. Like we met, we already made a lot of new friends on social media. It's a really cool way. You just tag. You basically just like do like hashtag costume, hashtag cosplay, hashtag Silicon Valley. They will find you. Like, they will track you down. That's like, we tagged, like, a guy who was a Blue Beetle. We tagged a guy who was Iron Man. And someone somewhere knew that guy. And that's why you're not on the show. And they were able to, like, tag them and then bring them over. And now we've made a new friend. So we made friends, the Blue Beetle, the Iron Man,
friends.
The Vulture. That Vulture was really good. I need to post. We have a bunch more that I'm going to be posting tomorrow. I didn't want to overflow everyone's social media feeds, but I will be blowing it up some more tomorrow with some more pictures. Vance, don't make this worse.
I'm awesome, and I just emphasize.
I know you're awesome. That's why I married you.
So, because I feel like I know David Tennant's doing a bunch of stuff, but like everyone knows him as the Doctor. Did you see like a lot more like Doctor Who than like maybe you would have seen otherwise? I had a reason for asking. Don't sound exasperated by asking about David Tennant.
But the reason he was there, like his panel was about Jessica Jones.
Because, oh my god, I forgot he was in Jessica Jones.
Don't slam the table with the mic.
Barely slammed it.
But yeah, Kristen Ritter and him were there together. They did their panel together because they were in Jessica Jones.
I forgot.
But obviously there were 12 dudes dressed as the 10th Doctor. A handful of dudes as other Doctors. There was one person who was actually dressed as the TARDIS. That was pretty cool.
Like a box TARDIS or like a dress?
No, there was two. There was a guy in a blue suit that was meant to look like the TARDIS.
Okay.
Then there was one person who actually had like, they had gotten like a metal, like imagine, you know how our hamper is like the metal tubes, like from IKEA?
Yeah.
It's like that, but full size. Mm-hmm. So it's like 8 feet tall, and they had like basically draped curtains to look like the sides of the TARDIS, so they could just roll around as the TARDIS. It was really great. So David Tennant was one of the guests along with Kristen Ritter. They talked about his experience with Jessica Jones, his other roles. There was a lot of really cool times. We're not going to show you the hamper, Vance, with your not going to debate me tonight. So David Tennant was cool, but there were also a lot of other guests, and I mean a ton of other guests, like a certain Stan the Man Lee, who I have the good luck, the well, whatever the word.
Money.
Yeah, the money to see him a couple years ago, to get a signature, to get a photograph. He was even more.
Did you get to actually like see him?
No. He was kept in a very specific area.
Oh,
he was not in the celebrity row.
Okay.
He was not.
I figured that.
None of the meet and greets and photo ops, like they were all in one place, so he didn't have to go anywhere.
He really is getting old.
He is getting up there. I mean, he just recently beat pneumonia. Like,
that's true.
So they did not want to move him a lot. He had a lot of handlers. Like, he had a specific area, so we couldn't even see him. Like, you couldn't see him from where you were because they know that would have just bogged people down. Like the line was already just all over the.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, a Pope Mobile for Stan Lee. That is really what we need. Get the CGC to build him one. Like, grade him like 9.5. Get it? Because he's 95 years old. So, Stan was there. We also had... I'm going to just start listing off people. We had both Jango Fett and Boba Fett. Not the original Boba Fett, the young Boba Fett from the original trilogy. So the guy, he's grown up now.
I was just going to say, so he probably doesn't look anything
nope,
like
nothing like Kid Boba Fett.
Right?
We had both Wally and the Beaver.
Oh.
So from Leave It to Beaver, we had the whole Cleaver clan.
That's kind of cool.
We had...
wasn't Christina Ricci there?
Christina Ricci was there. Kate Sackhoff from Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, okay.
Mads Mikkelsen, my man.
He's a wrestler?
No. Mads Mikkelsen, bad guy from Casino Royale. The guy I got a picture of him. Bad guy in Doctor Strange. You seriously not know? The main character's dad in Rogue One. Are you serious? Do you watch movies when I watch movies?
Hey now.
Mads Mikkelsen.
I'm tired.
Mads Mikkelsen
I can't put a face to the name.
Was there. The Beaver is pretty old. His Wally is older though.
Shut up, Vance.
So Mads Mikkelsen, Ian McDiarmid, aka the Emperor.
See, I know who that is. Visualize.
Yes, Jewel. I believe her last name's Stale. She is. I can't remember the character's name. She's the engineer on Firefly and Serenity. I think Jewel's her real name. Hannibal. Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen is also Hannibal Lecter. Ray Park, who was the Toad in the X-Men movie, and
got it.
Yeah, more famously, Ray Park was of course Darth Maul in episode 1. Basically,
I wouldn't know him without makeup, though. I'm gonna be honest.
No, you don't.
Yeah,
but it's like if he had a bald cap on, I'd be like, okay, I could see it. So Darth Maul was there. The Emperor was there. It was pretty good. Freema Agyeman, who was the Doctor's second, David Tennant's second companion.
Oh yeah, Martha.
Third, yeah, Martha. Second, yeah.
Is second, yeah, yes. Because she came before.
So
Donna.
Martha was there. There were a ton of people there. Now on the comic side, this is where I got to have one of my favorite experiences of the entire con. So I have a couple of comics in my possession. One, I have the 4-issue miniseries that was written by Chris Claremont, drawn by Frank Miller, inked and colored by Joe Rubinstein. That was the Wolverine. That was his first solo book outside of the X-Men. Classic cover. Kieran, thank you, man. Good to see you. Dylan. Anyway, So the classic Wolverine cover is him gesturing with the claws popped. Awesome cover. Wow. So I got to meet Joe Rubinstein, and he, in Carney fashion, charged me $10 to sign that book because I wasn't buying anything else, which totally worth it. I didn't want him to sign all 4 because that would have been $40, and I'm like, ooh, my budget was not exactly high. So I got $10, got Joe Rubinstein to sign my book. I'm going to try at SACCON. I'm going to try to get Chris Claremont if I can give my book to Amy, but she was supposed to be here tonight, so I give her that book. So the other side of Joe Rubinstein was Marv Wolfman. So Marv Wolfman was... I
got it as Steve's. I looked it up. I know.
Marv Wolfman, classic DC writer, like Teen Titans, Titans, I should say. What he's probably most famously known for, I mean, some people might argue, but Crisis on Infinite Earths. He was the writer of Crisis on Infinite Earth, which has basically set the bar for DC events, and pretty much they've tried to recreate it a half dozen times. This whole multiverse idea, the idea of the multiverse being attacked and being damaged and being crushed. So Crisis on Infinite Earths, written by Marv Wolfman. I had issue number 3. It was in a shoebox. The maintenance guy who works for the property manager who we go through, he came over to our house and he saw the comic book stuff and he said, "Hey, I have a box of comics I found in a condemned house. Do you want these?" And I was like, "Yeah, sounds good." And he's like, "I don't know what's in them. Don't tell me what's in there." And then I open it up and I'm like, "I'm not going to tell you what's in here." So like Crisis on Infinite Earths, Wolverine, like all those books were in there. So I went up to Marv Wolfman and he just had, now mind you, I married a woman who is 89%, 92%? 89% European Jew. So when I say this, I mean it with pure honesty. He just had the most like classic, like old New York Jewish man voice. Like it was perfect. Like I love when he talked. It was just like it made me comfortable. It made me happy. I don't know why, but anyway, Marv Wolfman. I asked him. I said, "What was it like to write Crisis on Infinite Earths, like this huge DC event?" And I'm not going to do the voice, fans. I don't want to get banned from Twitch for being culturally insensitive. But I asked him that, and he's in just the humblest way. He's just like, I didn't think anyone was going to be talking about it in 30 years. He thought he was just writing. They just basically gave him free will to write whatever book he wanted to. And he did. And he said, I thought people were going to be excited for the universe that DC was setting up afterwards. Because they used that big event to start new storylines. And like everyone always does, it was a big relaunch of all the titles. And so he thought he was just kind of writing a story that was going to be fun and everyone was going to forget. Little did he know that the Crisis, Infinite Crisis, all these crises came out of the Crisis on Infinite Earth. So he, unlike Joe Rubenstein, he only wanted $5 for me to sign his book.
So nice.
And he immediately said, before he signed it, he's like, "Is this for CGC?" And I was like, "No. Like, it's issue number 3, dude. Like, why would I just found it in a shoebox. Like, I was really waiting to sign it." And then he signed it. And I wondered if he would have denied me or charged me double if it had been for CGC. Really nice. He was really cool to hang out with for a minute. And the other artists who were there, like we're talking Jim Shooter, classic like editor at Marvel, founder of Valiant Comics. Local
was Neal Adams, is that his name?
Neal Adams was not there.
That's like amazing because
Arthur
I feel
Adams.
like
Arthur Adams was there.
No, but Neal Adams is who I'm talking about.
No, yeah, Neal Adams.
He's the one who's like at every single con, who we didn't realize was so. The AMC documentary, guys, check it out.
Yeah, Neal Adams will be, I believe, at Fandemic, which is one coming to Sacramento.
SatCon is Fandemic?
No, Fandemic is from the people who did Wizard World.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cons now. I can't keep up. I'm just
really
being
difficult.
honest.
So one of the things that I really appreciated about Silicon Valley this year was a lot of times you go to Artist Alley, it's just prints. And not Prince as in Purple Rain. As in PRINTS. So artist interpretations, as you can see, I've got a bunch of them over here. Ooh. So it's not original artwork. It's just like there was one guy who just drew Overwatch characters. There was one guy who just drew random like anime like waifu kind of style. But there were actually a lot of original artists with original artwork there for the first time in a while. Like I saw people like selling their comics.
So like expensive stuff we're talking, like if you're selling original art, or you just mean like their comics?
I mean original, like they drew it.
Got it.
Like it wasn't like them drawing Daredevil. It was like they were selling their prints. I mean, some of them had original artwork for a lot. But like we met one guy who had basically created this like steampunk universe over the last like 12 years. He finally brought all of it together.
That's cool.
And it's And Vance, there's always a place for buying like prints. Like there's sometimes you're gonna see like those mashups you don't see, or someone's interpretation of a character. Like there's this really cool like Roadhog and Junkrat from Overwatch, but they're really cute and chibi, like hanging out with each other. Like
we have like the sad drones.
Yeah, like that stuff is always really cool, but it's always just sad to see when that's all it is. When that's all it is, and there's no original artwork. So it's nice to see artists out there selling their stories, selling their characters, and like standing behind it. It's really cool to see, because there's always a place for the guys who are doing these awesome interpretations of classic characters. But it's cool to see people, you know, putting themselves out there and being like, hey, this is my character that I made, this is my story. And it was awesome to get to hang out with some of them and get to chat with some of them. We met a ton of local. We saw Fuzzy Joseph, our friend Fuzzy Joseph.
Was Newligan there?
Newligan was not. Newligan was at C2E2 in Chicago.
What's C2E?
That is comic.
We'll add it to the con of cons list. That Vance.
Yeah, con of con. And then the top
Ramon
is just
Villalobos.
Ramon was at C2E2
I take it that's a step
It's
up
in Chicago.
from...
It's a big one in Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah, that had like Jason Aaron and all like the big guys from Marvel. Brian Michael Bendis was out there. I mean, honestly, and that's the thing. Silicon Valley it's a Comic-Con. They don't have a ton of like big name comic book artists and writers, because I think they just it's only its third year, I think, and I think it's easier to get pop culture people faster than it is to get comic people, because comic people aren't necessarily always making money. Mm-hmm. But like when you bring in like David Tennant and you charge $120 per autograph, and there's 150 people in line as soon as they bring him out, you're making money off that. So, yeah, would you have dropped $120 to go?
If I had the money.
Exactly. Well, yeah, I would have done a lot of things if I had the money this weekend.
I'm just saying.
So, the cosplay was awesome. The guests were awesome. It was Manderson's first con. It was a lot of fun.
Do they do, like, we've been at smaller cons. Do they do, like, a fashion show with, like, the cosplayers, or
they
like
did
a contest?
The Geek fashion show. So there was a cosplay contest and there was the Geek fashion show.
What's the difference?
So cosplay contest is anyone can enter, and they just bring in, they go up there and they walk on stage in their cosplay, and they get voted for the best cosplay. Okay. The Geek fashion show is there's an organization that's been doing it for 10 years. They actually get designers who design geek and nerd themed clothing.
Cool.
Or there's one who was a LuLaRoe salesman. So
gotta make that money.
Yeah, so there's a woman who her brand is called Lord of the Seams, called Lord of the Rings themed.
But she makes LuLaRoe, or she just because you can't.
That's not what I'm.
Oh, I was confused by the. I try.
The list and I post.
I
So there were like 4 or 5 designers, and one of them was not a designer. One of them was a LuLaRoe salesperson.
Okay.
But what she did was she got all of like the geek Disney themed, like specific, like the stuff that would sell well at a con. She actually had a booth where she was selling LuLaRoe, and she put together some LuLaRoe looks that were like, there was one that like was like Gryffindor colors. It wasn't like Gryffindor LuLaRoe, but it was Gryffindor themed. Smart. And like they would like, so it was like a LuLaRoe line. There was Lord of the Seams. It was all Lord of the Rings themed. Hers were so freaking cool. Like I was cool. All about her stuff. There's one a designer who makes like onesies. And so it was all like animal, like, and they had like an octopus onesie. It was really cool. It was fun to see. We got to, and Marissa Garcia from Chunky Girl Comics. She was actually, she walked for Lord of the Seams, and for the onesie line. Vance, you're lucky I don't boot you for terrible puns like that.
I like puns. Keep them coming.
Anyway, so so we hung out at the Geek Fashion Show. That was a lot of fun. The cosplay contest, there were so many good cosplays. It was really cool. It was weird though. I heard people like commenting, like people like, "Oh, how was this con?" And they're like, "Oh, I saw more cosplay at that other con." And I was kind of like, "Are you looking at the same people I am? Maybe there was just."
I mean, if this attracts like the tech and like, you know, science.
There were definitely a lot of people who weren't in cosplay, but there were.
But I meant, so maybe that was like offsetting if you see so many people not dressed up because they were there for science.
Because I mean, like there was McThor and the Fast Food Avengers.
Yes, so you said
so McThor is this guy who's been cosplaying for a long time as Ronald McDonald mashed up with Thor. He got together with Fast Food Avengers. It was amazing. Jack in the Box, Doctor Strange. Did leave the TV. Jack in the Box, Doctor Strange, Agent Carter. Oh, Rue, hey man, how's it going? Agent Carter, Starbucks.
Wendy's Black
Widow.
Yeah, she was cool.
Nick Fury, Long John Silver. Yeah, so a lot of times Saturdays there are definitely usually more cosplays. A lot of cosplayers will do like their comfy or like casual cosplays on Sundays. Vance, there are the Fast Food Avengers pictures are going to be going up tomorrow.
Pretty funny.
I was just working through. Yeah, there was Panda Express Hulk, who was just a giant panda like tearing through his clothing, and when I saw him, he's like orange chicken. Need orange chicken smash. So funny. There were a lot of really solid cosplays. It's just always just.
I think it would have been cool since it was kind of like this tech one if you had seen some like people dressed up as like famous like scientists. Like there's Buzz Aldrin.
See, well, Buzz Aldrin was at last year's. That was.
Well, I mean, but you can still dress up. It's like dressing up like the Doctor because David Tennant's there.
No, that was true. That would have been. I don't know.
It just would have been cute.
There would have only been like a handful of people who would be like, "Oh, that's a. She's a woman in a lab coat." She's dying from radiation. It's Mary Curie. There it is. Like there's.
You would have to get more creative, but it could be funny.
You could mash them up, with superheroes.
That would be cool.
I don't know, but it was an awesome convention. Every year so far has been a lot of fun. We're really excited to go back next year. Yeah, and Manderson, you can go with Sheldon Cooper. You're a beanpole anyway. That'll be fine. You just gotta wear your contacts.
That's funny. That would work. I like it.
We'll see what
Bazinga!
happens.
I don't think I'm invited back.
I mean, sometimes you are. So we had, like I said, a ton of fun. We had actually a lot of good food, which was like usually like con food can kind of suck, but San Jose, you guys,
like in the con it was good, or like outside
God,
of the
no,
con?
we didn't pay for that.
Oh, well, the way you said like con food, I assumed you meant like in the
Usually
con
stuff around the con even sucks, but this, I mean, we had like Sofa Market. We went to a place called Vietnam's. Some great Vietnamese food. It was a lot of fun. Tom did join us on Saturday. Tom was hanging out. He was promoting him and Nerd On. We figured out maybe what we're gonna do with our joint collaboration. Overall, very successful weekend. The kicker, my favorite part, and this is why I saved it for the end.
Oh.
So Ruru, that's exactly how it's spelled. It's Vietnam's, just like that. It was delicious. So some of you may know we have a friend of the show. His name is Tim Munsey. Tim is on Twitch. He's Tim the Woodworker. He streams himself with his saw, carving all kinds of different stuff, and he does a lot of comic book stuff. This year he carved a special thing for Steve Wozniak and for Stan Lee. Got both signed. Gave one as a gift.
I mean, you also have a special one.
I do. No, I do. I have a Spawn one. It's awesome. So he works with Project Wish Upon a Star, which is an organization that basically is a nonprofit that raises money to take a kid who is sick, take them and their family, and go to a convention. So last year, a couple years ago, they took this boy named Lucas and his family to Stan Lee's LA Comic-Con. They got to give him the whole experience, put him up. It was a lot of fun. Lucas has since beaten said cancer. Yay. So Lucas and his family were there at the Project Wish Upon a Star booth. Now, I don't know where they got this idea. I need to talk to Tim about this. But Project Wish Upon a Star has a cow named Star. It is a plaster cow that is mounted on wheels and is painted multiple colors. It has superheroes painted all over it. It has Comic-Con logos painted all over it. And they take it to conventions and they get it signed by famous people for charity. So they got Stan Lee to sign it.
Do they have to pay the famous person to sign it?
No, because they say it's for charity. They go up to them and they say, hey, will you sign this for us? It's for charity.
Well, that's kind of cool.
So they have Lou Ferrigno's signature on there, which I found out Lou Ferrigno does not do like charity stuff. Because he's worried about getting conned. Stan Lee's daughter, Lou Ferrigno, just everyone who was at this convention. So I was talking to our friend Tim. We were kind of hanging out, and I was just asking him about, how the con was going, if he'd met Stan Lee. And then all of a sudden the cow started to roll away from me, and Tim's like, "Oh, walk with me." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll walk and talk with my friend Tim." And all of a sudden I realize I am now escorting the cow down Celebrity Row.
That's so cool.
I don't even realize this is happening yet. I'm just like, oh, we're going along. I'm talking to Lucas's family. They're great. They're really nice. Like, met Lucas, and we were talking about superheroes. All of a sudden, I realize that I am looking down the back of this cow directly at Mads Mikkelsen. And Mads Mikkelsen is just sitting there tapping a Sharpie, looking at this cow coming towards him with his group of people. And he's just kind of like, he's confused.
Like,
he's just like, is this an American thing? Like, what's going on here? And we went up to his handlers, because all big famous people have handlers and they have managers. The handlers are usually volunteers. Managers are their employees. So they went up to the handlers and they said, "Hey, we were wondering if Mads would sign this cow. It's for charity." And they gave him a flyer so he could go see it. And Mads Mikkelsen got up and he came over and he was just like, "Never signed a cow before. This is going to be good." Shakes Lucas's hand, takes a picture with the family. I'm going to be posting those pictures up as well. Gets a spot, signs it, gives everyone a wave. Super awesome. Yes?
Question about the cow, because I think I'm confused. So I get that they get people to sign it, but what
is the point?
Yeah.
I don't know yet.
Okay.
So
do you think they're going to maybe auction the cow off? And it's got hella signatures?
I asked that. I asked if they were going to sell it. They said no. I think it's just the idea is it's just kind of it's just something to feature at their booth. Okay. It's a conversation piece.
Okay. Because when you say for charity, like I assume that they're like.
Well, so what I think it is because they take the cow to get the signature. They took Lucas up there. Lucas gets to meet these famous people. So we got this little boy who survived cancer and he gets to meet all these famous.
Okay.
So I think that's kind of the point. So before I even realize what's going on, I'm still kind of scared of Mads Mikkelsen, as everyone else apparently is in the chat room. Before I realize what's happening, Tim Muncie, this beautiful man, this beautiful woodworking man from Fresno, California, he has walked over to the next booth on Celebrity Row, and he has gone over to that handler, and he said, hey, we're Project Wish Upon a Star. I was wondering if we could get Ian to sign this cow. Ian McDiarmid, a.k.a. the freaking Emperor of the Galactic Empire.
You want to talk about fear.
So he goes over to their handler, and they then in turn pass him off to Ian's manager. Ian's manager looks like every 80s stereotype rolled into one. Dude's older, with sunglasses inside, blonde, spiked hair, gaudy leather biker jacket, all this kind of stuff. And he asked him if Ian would sign it. And Ian has 150 people in line in front of him. And he stops what he's doing and he gets up and he comes over to sign this cow. And Ian McDiarmid, just the nicest dude. Everyone around me is flipping out. Like, they're just like, I need, what, are we seriously? Is the Emperor? Tim just nonchalantly goes over and gets the Emperor to come over and sign this cow. By the way, of course, we had him sign the red area of the cow, because what else would you have him do? And he wrote Ian McDiarmid, the Emperor, got a picture with Lucas, met Lucas. I got some pictures of him. I already posted them on our Instagram. I was, again, I could have spit on the cow and then spit on Ian McDiarmid. I would have done neither, but that's just just so you know.
You like to spit on a lot of celebrities.
Yeah, well,
that's a little weird.
Yeah, some of them enjoy it. But it was just so freaking cool that we could just do this, and it wasn't like we were taking advantage of anything. It legitimately was for charity. Like we this great kid and his parents who'd been through this terrible time. They got to meet all these famous people. I got to meet those famous people too, just because I was going along for the ride. I got to introduce myself, hang out with Lucas's family. Some of them do deserve it, but not them. But it was super cool. It was so much fun. I really appreciate Project Wish Upon a Star. I really appreciate Tim Muncie. You should follow him here on Twitch for giving me an opportunity to hang out and do that. Manderson awkwardly waited all the way back at the beginning of the line and basically gave up after, like, I don't know, like 3 people asked him where they could sign up to get autographs from Mads Mikkelsen. So because they thought he was a con employee, so he eventually walked away. So Star the Cow. If you look up hashtag Star the Cow, you will see this cow, all of its travels, its adventures. It's met all kinds of famous people. It's super awesome. So
that sounds really cool.
We're gonna be trying to hook up more with Project Wish Upon a Star and Tim, trying to do some more charity stuff for the Crusaders. So overall, Silicon Valley, lots of fun. I think that baby starting to cry means we're about gonna wrap it up for this week's episode. So you can introduce yourself so you can go take care of the baby.
Kaitlin Berry, was fun hanging out with you guys.
Yes.
Sort of.
My name is David Berry at Dr. Berry on varying social media platforms. You're gonna go get the baby.
I'm literally going now. There's dogs. I got it.
If you're looking for anything related to the K Plus Crusaders, you can find at thekpluscrusaders.com. Todd, your timing is impeccable because the episode is now over. Dare you to cover your face with your hair entirely without hands. I mean, it's not even remotely difficult when you got 12 years of hair you got going on. So you can find anything related to the K Plus Crusaders at thekpluscrusaders.com. Ice cream is coming because I'm about to go get some ice cream after we finish this. Special thank you to our sponsors: Computer Booter, local computer repair, retro video game lounge, Empire's Comics, local comic book haven, Pugs, and Hot Sauce. None not necessarily related. For the K Plus Crusaders, my name is David Berry at Dr. Berry on varying social media platforms. For Son of Mander, aka Manderson in the chat, Amy, IJ New Robot on varying social medias, Tom at Tall Dark Not Ugly on everything, is Steve's the Azorian one, Curtis at Calm Down Warning at Existential, Romeo. Man, when no one else is here except for me, just listing all the names, it's tiring, dude. I don't want to do that ever again. You guys need to start getting back in studio. Anyway, for the K Plus Crusaders, good night.